Hi, my name is Mary Beth Redinger, and I'm the secretary for the Spencer American with Disabilities ADA Council. We are a group of caring members that meet once a month to improve the lives of those with a disability. Today, I am going to introduce you to one of our ADA members, Shannan Zenkovich, who is going to join us via Zoom.
I'm Shannan Zenkovich. I am a mother of two, a widow, and I am a new grandmother. I have congenital hip dysplasia, and that just means that my hip sockets weren't quite right when I was born, and we didn't realize it until I was in kindergarten, and had several surgeries, 7 body casts, a home tutor to keep me up with my classmates. And I still managed to play basketball in junior high and, almost did pretty much everything that everyone else could. I've had a lift on my shoe since junior high. And now I am walking with crutches because I have one artificial hip and one hip that still needs to be operated on. My parents especially took such great care of me. Those 7 body casts that I had, I would be sent home from the hospital in Rochester and be in the cast for 6 weeks, and then they would take me back and see where we went from there. And when I was at Rochester, or I did go to Minneapolis to the Shriners Hospital later on, but while I was in Rochester, my mother would stay up there and my father would come back home. I have a leg length difference, which means that I have a lift on my shoe. So say the typical sole on a shoe would be this high. Well, my shorter leg, the sole will be this high. So that's hard on your back and it's hard on all of your joints. And of course, being on crutches, it's hard on your arms too. So you tend to get a little achy and stiff, but it's not bad. And as far as cars go, I usually have to ask my friends or my family if either I can drive with my car or which car they're going to take, because some passenger cars, you take it for granted just getting into any old car, and it's not easy for me. I've got to have running boards so I can kind of finagle my way up into the seat, and then because I can't, my legs don't have the range of motion or the strength to just pull myself up in normally sideways. So I go in backwards, and then I need to have my seat all the way up and all the way back. The snow, it doesn't bother me. It's the ice, because the ice is so slippery. And if I fall, it's not just going to be something where I just bounce right back up. It could mean some serious ramifications for me. I do have, and I can show you, I have my crutch right here, and I have these ice attachments, and they just flip down, and they're like cleats. So I put those down when I go outside to walk on the ice, but I really try to avoid walking on the ice if at all possible. My classmates were so used to it since it started when I was in kindergarten. And the way we found it was, I don't know if they still do it now. Like I said, my kids are grown. But when we were little, kindergartners, then the school nurse would do scoliosis checks. And like I said, when your hips are off, it makes your spine off too. And she thought I had scoliosis at first. And what it was my hip problem. And that's what got the ball rolling as far as going to the doctor and seeing what was wrong. But I was bullied in junior high, but it had nothing to do with, because in junior high, I didn't really have that many surgeries at that time. So, but yeah, I had my first surgery when I was 6 years old, my last one when I was 16, and I kept seeing Shriners until I was 21. When people see somebody with a disability, you can just see in their eyes that they're trying to figure out what the story is. And also they don't know how to handle it, as far as they don't want to offend anybody, but they don't want to leave them out either. So I tend to crack jokes. Um, and after my hip replacement, I did work my way at that time up to walking a little over a mile. And I hadn't been able to do that for years. And I think sometimes people are surprised to see me do that with my crutches. But I figure I can do almost anything that I want to. I just need to do it in a different way. Playing with my grandson and spending time with my family, gardening for sure. It's so peaceful and stress-free, and it's just a good way to get some little bit of exercise and some fresh air. And just typical things: music, reading. I'm in college, so I spend some time doing my studies too. So my most recent job was, I was a medical transcriptionist for 16 years. I worked at a durable medical equipment company. I've worked at a hospital. I tend to gravitate, I suppose, towards the medical realm for whatever reason. I don't plan it that way. I've worked at a construction company as a secretary. So and I was a preschool teacher for 4 years too. So just ask them politely. That's all you have to do. That would be much better than for somebody to stare at someone, because if you think about it, would you like anyone to stare at you? You're wondering what they're thinking, and my gosh, do I look okay, or what's what's wrong? And it just makes a person feel uncomfortable. So I have seen the best side of humanity. When I would go to the store, especially in the wintertime, if I was pushing a cart or anything, people would always ask me if I needed any help or anything. And once in a while, I'd take them up on it, but I pretty much had a system. And so I'm like, no, thanks, but it was nice of you to ask. It's always nice for somebody to offer to help. So yeah, that I will never look down on anyone or be angry with anyone for asking if they could help me. I think it teaches you to be patient with yourself, which I'm not always the best at. I get frustrated, and it's not with anyone else. I get frustrated with myself. Just to, like I said, have a good sense of humor, because that will help if you're hurting or if you're scared, or anytime when you're growing up. Just to, and don't expect the worst out of people either. For instance, I talked about the lift on my shoe. I had a lift on my basketball shoes, and one of my classmates, we were in the locker room, and she said, "Shannan, I'm so sorry. I don't mean anything mean by this, but your shoe reminds me of Herman Munster." And I don't know if the fourth graders watch the Munsters anymore, but I had never thought of it that way. And I got to looking at my shoe and I'm like, you're right. And we had a good laugh about it. So, it's just, you might as well laugh about things, because the only thing you can control in this life is how you react to whatever's going on. You can't change anything else. So, and I pray a lot too. So you've got to have a higher power and you've got to have a support system. Everybody has some sort of a struggle. And the people who are handicapped, they still like all the same things that everyone else does, I mean, in general. Like I said, they just have to do things in a different way and be patient, because it may take them a little bit longer to do it. And that's for their safety too. So, but otherwise, don't be afraid to ask questions. So there's no dumb questions.